let's get started. So if you haven't attended a community outreach meeting in the past, as I shared with Bob, most of this is around what we intend to do in the local community, how we intend to operate, and how we intend to meet the CCC regulations. So jump right into it. See if technology here is going to cooperate.
There's a chance it might work. I mean, there is a chance.
50-50 maybe.
We're on our second projector before you got here, so apparently it's not going to work. So I'll go back. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. So who we are. So we are a vertically integrated cannabis company. We built a world-class, so thank you, Joe, operation out of Douglas, Massachusetts. So currently we have a 50,000 square foot cultivation site that includes a lab, a kitchen, and we have a retail site in Worcester that is going to be a co-located site, meaning we will sell for medicinal as well as adult use and products that we are creating here in Douglas, all local. And we also have an additional adult use store in Northampton that we're currently building out. So the Grafton location is our third and final adult use store. So currently where we are in the application process is that we have a provisional certificate of registration for our cultivation site, which includes our cultivation, our lab, our kitchen, and our retail store in Worcester. We hold the provisional. We've obtained our certificate of occupancy for Worcester, so we're awaiting final inspection from the CCC. And in Douglas, we're awaiting our certificate of occupancy there. Just going through our final waiting period, and then ultimately from there we're waiting for our final inspection. We do have a priority status through the CCC in order to open, so we are being accelerated beyond the new applicants that are coming in. So our goals, I mean, ultimately, and I'm probably putting the cart a little bit before the horse. As I shared with Bob, I'm a local guy. I'm based here in Millbury. I coach pretty much every Millbury sport that you can imagine, from baseball and what have you. I've worked in Douglas. I've employed over 100 people here within about 5 mile radius. I used to be the former general manager over at Classic Envelope, which is now Supremex. It was a family-owned operation out of Douglas. We originally were based in Millbury. We moved it to Whitensville. So I went to school in Worcester. I went to college in Worcester County, Clark University. So I'm a local guy. And the goal here for me getting into cannabis was that I've run manufacturing companies my whole life. So the regulations around what we need to do with barcoding and chain of custody, I mean, this is all how I grew up. So for us, what I wanted to do was build a premium cannabis company and bring it to the local market. One that, obviously if I'm gonna go out to the local stores, I wanna feel good about where I'm going. We hired what I consider to be some of the best and brightest. We have a head of product development. You met Ian and Jill again. Ian's a chemist. We didn't cut any corners in terms of bringing on the necessary talent. We brought in the science to run the site. We brought in Jill, who's opened 2 schools out of the Springfield area, understands the regulatory framework, understands how to deal with disadvantaged individuals in areas of disproportionate impact, how to deal with alternative type of schools. So we're very familiar and comfortable in working within the framework of the Massachusetts regulations. We have a head of product development who is the former chef at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Has won worldwide awards for product development in the areas of pastry and confection. So we didn't cut corners. We brought in the best and brightest to build medicinal and adult use products. We're pretty excited about that. So as part of that, it's one of the things that we want to do is bring to the community and education. We have patient advocates on staff that not just, it's not just about recreational use for us. Again, this store is recreational use, but we're building pretty sophisticated products using cannabis, cannabinoids to do so. So for us, it's really about how can we educate the community? How can we help to reduce the stigma that's coming along with cannabis? How do we help people to find ways to treat themselves, whether it's wellness, medicinal, and ultimately, how do we support it, right? That was a big thing coming in towns like Grafton, Northampton. This is our own supply. We're producing our own products. We're not relying on the wholesale market to generate revenue. So we bring something unique here to the community. It's not something that you're going to be able to get at just any dispensary like other products. Worcester, Grafton, Northampton, those are going to be our hubs. So ultimately, it's serving the local community. It's the stigma. It's fostering a positive impact. Being a good neighbor. Being a good neighbor to our butters obviously is very important. But being a good neighbor here in town, supporting town activities. I mean, these are things that other people throw out there. I hate to say it this way, but I believe it. We're the local guy. So, as I shared with you, I shop at Anzi. I go to Anzi. I can't show up at these places and have people feel that we're not representing the community in the best way possible. So those are our goals. As I shared with you, this is what I've done my whole career. I've moved my own family-based manufacturing company. I've physically moved that 3 times. I understand how to design facilities. I understand lean manufacturing. I understand IT. We've successfully raised all of the funds for our project through a blend of internal, our own financing, as well as external. And we've done this through the Massachusetts community. We didn't bring in big business. We didn't bring in California. We didn't bring in Colorado. We're not going anywhere. This is a Massachusetts-run organization. Besides that, personally, and I think it's just important to mention, again, as I shared with you, I coach here in town. I've been coaching at the HAB for the past 5 years. I coach the flex football program here against Grafton, I hate to say it. But again, we're very involved. I'm personally very involved. So where do we stand, or how does this process work? So, we've been managing this process since Deval Patrick had the process, right? So we came in 2015 at the end of the Patrick administration. We saw Governor Baker come in. I think he's done an outstanding job for everything that he's done throughout the process. So we've seen him come in and change the procedure. In April of 18, in the entire process, they began accepting the applications. We've seen the micro business, we've seen the craft, we've seen the economic empowerment, the delivery services. We're well aware. What's unique about us is that as a medicinal cultivator and retailer, we also have the ability to transport, which is convenient. But they began accepting in June of 18 the retail, the product manufacturing, the transport licenses. We all go through the same procedure. It's pretty extensive, right? So we were talking a little bit about that process. When we talk about those that haven't been down this road, these are pretty daunting tasks in being able to submit an application of intent, a management and operational
profiles, yeah.
Well, yeah, we call it the MOPS, profile, but being able to map out for the state as well as a municipality how you intend to operate when you don't operate now can be a pretty daunting task.
Mm-hmm.
The siting profile, we've been through this procedure, as I mentioned. We're already well along the path. So we've adhered to these requirements, and we've done so. We've sailed right through. We've had a great relationship with the CCC. It's truly been a great process for us. So moving on.
Sorry.
Thank you. So this is interesting. So by requirement, you need to perform the community outreach meeting within 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We actually we did ours and had all of our HCAs and all of our agreements done early in the other sites that we've operated. We actually had to go back and refresh those documents. It's pretty interesting. We were at 181 days. I kid you
Yes.
not.
Like one day, yeah.
Needed to go back and do it all again. That's okay. I mean, it's part of the protocol. So ultimately, within the 6 months of your submission, you need to perform the community outreach meeting. So for us, what we will be doing is we're moving forward full steam ahead at this point in finalizing the sale of the building. So we have purchased the building. I've purchased the building from the owners. We are going forward now and mapping out all of our engineering. We have the community outreach meeting, which we'll submit today, and then within the next 30 to 45 days, our complete application submission will go into the CCC. And ultimately, for us, what's beneficial is that we submitted these. They've been reviewed in the past. We understand the process. So it's really just kind of that step and repeat process for us at this point. But once you do submit, they will issue you a provisional license, again, to which we carry already for the other sites. Once they do that and you complete your construction, then they'll come out final inspection and they'll issue you your FCR, and then we go through the final steps and approvals to sell in the town. Okay. So this is the site, and I know you're familiar with the building, so I'll just kind of walk around here for a second. But ultimately, our goal here is Pecorino's is over here. We had Anzio's that was located here, and our goal is to occupy this part of the building. In the back of this part of the building is where Wicked Twisted Pretzels is located.
Okay.
Our goal for the building is to maintain all of the tenants. I'm hoping that we can rent out that space in the middle over the long term. I mean, I don't have a potential tenant doing that now, but I like what the town's doing in this area. We want to participate. We want to hopefully bring in others that are going to be able to benefit from our presence, because we do expect that we will be a destination for people to come visit. Should improve the foot traffic there for, entities like Simone, who are currently there. So it is zoned for commercial use. We've gone through all of our zoning. We're now within the 500 linear feet of a park. There was the one early requirement of whether or not we were too close to the Centennial, but we ended up clearing all of that zoning. More concerned from the local than we were from the state. But it does meet all of the requirements in terms of the zoning as set forth by the CCC, as well as the town. So that's interesting. In terms of the building, what are we going to do? We are renovating the space. We will be bringing in a full security system. That includes intrusion detection, a complete burglar system that has redundancy, full surveillance system around the perimeter. It has actually a security system in it today, but it's not a security system that we would accept or the CCC would accept. So we're pretty excited to be able to bring that in. We do maintain and manage the exterior of the building as well as the interior. We don't allow for anyone to loiter on the site. If in fact they've gone into our building and they've procured goods, we do expect them to move along. And that's not as much as a traffic issue, but we need to make sure that there is absolutely no on-site consumption or any other potential diversion of product to an unacceptable area. And that could be whether or not someone's buying for someone else, minor diversion, etc. So we do manage that. And as you see here, everything is on complete redundancy. So in the event of a complete failure, we have battery backup to ensure that we don't go down. That's the parking lot, the interior, the full perimeter. So in addition to that, we need to make sure that, and this is one of the things that I'm looking at this week, the perimeter, the parking, the trees being cut back, all of the foliage. I think the nice thing about an entity like us coming in is we're going to improve that property. And we're going to improve it significantly. I mean, that's our goal. Again, we want this to be we're putting a lot of money into getting that retail footprint configured. So we want it to be a place that the town people are going to, the community is going to drive by and say, geez, look what a nice job that they've done. So in terms of anybody coming in, you have to be over 21, and there are no minors in order to come in. There are times when we may have contractors or vendors coming in, which is okay. We have to issue them visitor badges for them to come into the site. They have to display these badges clearly for everyone to see. And most importantly, no on-site consumption again. I'll say that a million times. We run a very tight ship as an operator, so we take these things very serious. Now, in terms of our marketing and branding, one of the things that you may or may not see, we are already advertising in the Worcester area. We have roughly 10 billboards throughout the city of Worcester that's advertising our coming soon, our opening. Just beginning to build that groundswell. All of our marketing is to the above 21, and I would even go as far as saying slightly beyond that in terms of a target. We certainly would never use fictional characters or cartoon-based figures. These are practices that we see in other black market, but these are not our business practices, nor would we subscribe to them. So all of our marketing and advertising and branding is all hitting the adult use population. You go to our website, you are required to log in that you are over 21, and very standard. And then ultimately switching gears to how do we plan on operating that business. So we're very aware of historical traffic flows and nuisances that have been created as a result of these sites. It's pretty interesting. We've seen the Cultivate out in Leicester, you know, we've seen Netta deal with very difficult traffic requirements. You know, as far as what we're seeing in Worcester, and I think what we're seeing across the state and other municipalities, is a lot of that has subsided. However, it doesn't necessarily mean it has gone away, and I'd love nothing more to have a huge line outside my door. That being said, in the event that that would happen, we would retain the local PD to come down and make sure that they manage the traffic accordingly. We fortunately have plenty of spots, parking spots located at this site. I believe that traffic, that parking count is roughly around 35. I have to do the count on that. Give you an idea of Worcester, we have a 9,300 square foot building, and we have 31 parking spots. So I'm pretty excited about having adequate parking in Grafton, and slightly better than what I have in Worcester. But we're not using any, you know, our signage is, you know, this is a destination. Those that are looking for what we have to sell are gonna find our site. Our logo is very elegant. It doesn't speak to cannabis whatsoever. We don't use marijuana leaves. We don't use images of products. We don't use any of that. So in the exterior of the building, our signage is gonna comply with what the town's gonna require, but it's gonna be very simple. In Worcester, it simply says our company name and our address, and that's it. It doesn't even say a cannabis dispensary on it. Doesn't need to, people will find us. So we're not gonna advertise, we're not gonna be a nuisance, we're not looking to light up the area and have everybody drive by. It's gonna be an environment that's consistent with what you see today. We're gonna meet all of the necessary requirements that the town's gonna have us set forth. You know, as of now, we're going through that planning. We wanna make sure that we're prepared and coming forth to you and to the other building departments to make sure that we have a sound plan. We can do this once, do it the right way. Very interested in making sure that that goes the right way.
Most of your parking, as I recall, is in the back, or in the back and somewhat on the Anzio side. And your customers will be coming in through the front. The same door that is currently where everybody goes in, or are you gonna have use one of the other doors that used to be further to the right?
So we do have that door that's further to the right. And we have the door on the left that does have the ability to go into the store. So, I'm in the phase of evaluating that right now. Couple reasons. Number one, I don't want to be disruptive to Simone's business. So I want to make sure that Pecorino's doesn't fall, you know, under any interruption as a result of construction and things like that we're doing. So it's one goal that we have. My personal feeling right now is that that door on the right is very convenient. But again, I hesitate to answer that question because I want to make sure that we fully evaluate that. We have lots of ideas for things that we want to do there, but we're not quite there yet.
I'd guess that she'd prefer that you use the door on the right, so that she and maybe whoever gets the Anzio space would have a separate, you know, wouldn't have.
Hi, welcome.
But you wouldn't have to get through that long line that you sat.
Yeah, and ultimately, you know, the goal, I mean, the challenge is always to try to move as many people through the site as quickly as you can. You know, we've deployed in Worcester kind of a pharmaceutical, like a pharmacy type of model, where we actually have a back room that performs fulfillment, so that we can accelerate that line and move people through quicker. More importantly, to patients, there will be patients that will buy products in the adult use market to satisfy their conditions. So we want to make sure we kind of view everybody in the terms of a patient. You know, if you're doing your best and trying to move them through and under those terms, then it's a different approach, you know. But I think that right door is pretty convenient, pretty accessible, and I think that we're going to be able to achieve that. But I don't want to let on what I'm going to do with the others just yet.
Well, when you get, there'll be a lot more questions when you get to the planning board. We're very, very thorough.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
Say what?
I said, gee, I wonder why.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I've been on the board since '91. Been elected, 9 or 10 times. So
So you're doing a good job.
Really tired of, well, back in the day.
That's great.
Next slide.
It's funny. Oh, thank you.
Or,
Um,
Oop.
You know, I mean, we talked about that in terms of consumption, so that we can move on. You know, I don't, one thing that is important to mention here is that the plan is to prepackage all of our goods and to ship in prepackaged goods. So our plan at this time is not to have a deli style type of configuration. Now, it's not to suggest that that's wrong. Other sites have deployed that. But our cultivation site is pretty significant, as I mentioned, out in Douglas. And the idea is that we're gonna be able to prepackage everything, move it into town. These will be, the SKUs will be very thoroughly managed. Everything is built into a very sophisticated computer system, a manufacturing platform that we've purchased to manage the business. So when it comes to the potential for scent, you know, or odor that's gonna be portraying in the market, very minimal. In fact, it should be next to nil,
Right.
where they are prepackaged. I mean, these are prepackaged sealed goods that are coming in, so it's not like if we were to do something other than that, then we'd probably be looking at some sort of carbon filtration or something like that to prevent it.
Yeah, I think there'll be questions. Based on what I've seen
At other,
around town, there'll be questions about smell.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, and even for like our other sites, I mean, even like our Douglas site, I mean, that's something that we watch, and that's the cultivation site. That's the bulk of where that's gonna come from.
Yeah.
So in the store, we have retail displays where we may demonstrate, well, here's some flour that somebody could see in a jar, in a safe, but even that is very contained in an area that someone couldn't grab or expose to the elements.
Yeah.
So, now in here, we talk about marijuana studies and research, and look, this area is extremely compelling. In the early days that we were kind of going through this process of trying to address the stigma that followed cannabis, we talked about towns and municipalities and states that adopted it, and you know, there were concerns around adolescent use and addiction and what we saw. And the truth is, we saw double-digit reductions in opiate-related deaths as a result of the adoption of cannabis. So I think that we've all begun to accept that there are true benefits, medical as well as adult use. And I say adult use because, again, it's really about wellness. It's about relief of stress, anxiety, mental, things that people wouldn't necessarily want to be on an opiate for. But we've seen the decreases. It hasn't impacted the states. We're watching this very closely. We haven't seen impacts in terms of crime prevention. We haven't seen break-ins. We haven't seen any of this. Now, granted, maybe it's because we built Fort Knox in terms of getting in a dispensary. You're better off breaking into a bank than you are a dispensary, which is crazy when you think about it. But ultimately, we've begun to see that there are several positive results as you know, municipalities have adopted the use of cannabis sales. Move on. So what are we talking about in terms of you know, benefits to the town? I mean, ultimately, we're going to be adding jobs. So it is a retail location. But we're also close in Douglas, where I'm hoping to continue to recruit from the community to support us out there as well. So we have the Worcester site, we have the Grafton site, we have a Douglas cultivation site. There's a lot of mobility for potential employees to come work with us and to support us. There's obviously the monetary benefits of the host agreement, which we've executed. There's the access to quality product. I can't stress enough the importance of that. I mean, if again, I was adult use, the wholesale market right now is extremely complicated. Supply is limited. It is astronomical in terms of cost. There are a lot of issues associated with just opening an adult use store in today's cannabis market. Now, God bless those that can, and we're all fighting to get open, and it's certainly an entrepreneurial situation. However, it's not cheap to acquire the supply that you need for sale. So having a unique product offering that we're creating from the ground up is beneficial to the town. In terms of control, we're gonna work with the Grafton PD. We're gonna work closely with them. They're gonna see all of our plans. We're gonna, we'll work with all the municipal boards. We're gonna make sure that we do it right. We're gonna make sure we're gonna be here for a while, so we wanna do it right. Responsibility, I mean, again, we've done this. We've done this elsewhere. We've done this in the local market, so it's nothing new. You know, and ultimately, we're talking about that renovation to the site, which I think, Bob, you and I would certainly agree. We look forward to doing some of the renovations to that site.
I'm interested in the security side of it. I know CCC, you know, is fairly picky about security and, some sort of a vault arrangement for
Oh, absolutely.
storing stuff.
Mhm.
You don't have any of that, you're gonna have to build all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll have a vault
we-
room.
We reinforce, I mean, all of the, so in essence, you have what would be a limited access area in the back that employees are eligible for, but then you have the processing of cash, which is still occurs, but although more transactions are moving towards the debit card and cashless transactions, so that's good. We're seeing an increase there. I mean, I've seen that trend go from 0 to 50, and now it's climbing, so that's good. So there's less impact there. But yes, we do reinforce all of the walls. We ensure that the environment is completely secure, safes are used. We use all of the proper protocols. We bank with Century Bank. So, you know, we've, like I said, we've kind of gone down the path of everything from cash management to product management. We understand how to do that, and yes, you've touched upon some of the areas where we have to be secure.
So some of the other people that I've heard have said that they really have to close off the windows
Yep.
on the ground level.
Yep,
That would be true in your case too.
You
absolutely.
cannot show, or someone from the street cannot see
Right.
What's
cannabis
inside?
being procured.
But this was more the, what I was hearing was more, it was a question of security.
So we have to have break glass on all the windows. All the windows will be alarmed, all the doors. It's very high tech. Like, you can't have anyone seeing into the facilities from outside the street with normal vision. So, yeah.
Everyone will be greeted at the door.
Yep.
IDs get scanned. I mean, this is not, you know, we take it the one step further, so when someone does come to our store, we do greet them, we do check their IDs, we do scan the IDs and further verify it. Again, because I'm not interested in selling a product to someone who's not supposed to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you said you're just doing recreation.
Yes. Right. If it was medical, then there is a potential for a young patient to be served.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for the medical side, but that's not this location.
So from here, what we'll do is, this will now be submitted within the next 30 days into the CCC, letting them know that we are now moving forward with Grafton and looking to open the store. And as I shared, we have priority status, and we expect that's going to go smooth. Within the next 30 days, we'll prepare our plans for the town to begin reviewing what we want to do with the building and how we're going to ultimately fit out the site. Once we submit those plans, we expect that the provisional process will go to the speed of the CCC, but we understand what's required on opening these stores. So while we understand that there are delays in the market that we're all subject to, we don't expect that there are going to be challenges beyond our experience in opening the store already. I mean, we understand how to lay out the security, we understand the access control, you know, we've done it. So all of those plans will be submitted, and ultimately from there, we'll obtain the PCR. I expect within, if all was to go well, within a six-month period, we should have that site pretty well retrofitted, and I should be getting ready for inspections.
Mhm.
That would be the plan. So once we do that, we'll complete this. I'll begin my coordination with everybody within the town, and ultimately we'll get our final licensing and our approvals to sell.
And we have
So
questions.
that's the process. Q&A.
I'm just gonna write down questions if you guys have any to say.
Is your Worcester site already open?
We have obtained our certificate of occupancy for the Worcester site. We're waiting for our
Final inspection. Yep.
The Northampton one, is that one of the first two that opened in the state?
No,
No.
so Meta was the first one that opened in the state. There currently is not a second one opened in Northampton. We're entering into construction right now on that location.
The other first one was in Leicester.
Yeah.
First one was, so
Yeah.
Meta was one of the original medicinal stores that opened.
Right.
And Cultivate and Netto were amongst, I think, the first couple. I don't know what exact order, but they were amongst the first couple of adult use stores that opened in the state.
So I remember they opened on the same day, or?
Yeah, they did,
Was it the same day?
yeah.
And Leicester had more trouble than Brighton.
Yeah, that,
Brighton, though, has, you know, that's a big operation. I have inside information.
that is, the bank is,
Yeah, it's handy when you need a vault.
it certainly is. It's a beautiful store.
Actually, I think both their locations may have vaults, because the one in Northampton, I think was a bank.
Oh, right there in where Netta is, was that?
Yeah, that was
Like-
It might have been a bank.
It might have
feels
been.
like it.
No, that was Bay State
Was it-
Healthcare.
was it?
That was
A little
healthcare center.
health center, that makes sense,
But we install as
Yeah.
part of the process.
yeah.
What type of product are you selling? I know it's all packaged, but are we
Yeah.
talking, the raw bud or edibles or?
So flour, we are producing our own oils as well. We produce a line of edibles that include fruit chews, chocolates, and mints. So that's our narrow focus to open, but we're expanding, obviously we're gonna be looking to expand that line.
What is the edible packaging like, so children aren't, eating
Yes,
the gummy bears?
So we're
Yeah.
required to print on the edible itself that the product does contain THC. So there's actually a logo that goes on each individual piece.
Currently, ours are square shaped, and our boxing is like recycled cardboard, so it's just very simple, just has our logo on it.
But everything has to leave
In a bag, yep.
A bag that does not have, that's
Anything.
childproof, the products are tamper resistant, and when you leave the store, there's no indication that there's a cannabis product.
In the bag,
in the
yeah.
packaging when you leave.
Childproof packages vary. I've seen some that are definitely adult-proof packages. Now, you have to go to my workshop to find tools
To actually get some open.
It's interesting that you say that, because that's a bone of contention, amongst a lot of communities, is that, yeah, it's childproof, but it's also adult-proof.
Mhm.
I mean, some of those are, especially for those with,
Fine motor
right,
issues.
it's a challenge to open some of those packages rather than.
It's been something we've put a lot of thought into
Yeah,
and
the
still
packaging is-
discuss. Mhm.
But there's nothing fictional, there's no cartoon characters. I mean, in our products, on our fruit chew line, we're talking about all natural, gluten-free, vegan type of products. Like, we're taking a very significant premium approach to this, because a lot of people, like a gummy product, for example, it's made out of, beef and pork feed, and it's a gelatin-based product. It's not the healthiest for you. Our chocolate line, it is a premium chocolate line. It's not, most people use coating, they use these baseline materials. We're using premium chocolate lines that we're importing from all over the world. So that's the type of operation that we've built in Douglas, and that's the type of product line we bring to market.
Mhm.
One of the criticisms of the industry that's sprung up in Massachusetts is that it's mostly, for being, let's just go with, it's a straight white male kind of
Sure.
employer. So what do you do as far as diversity in hiring?
So, I mean, we do so much in terms of diversity for hiring. So first of all, we've already, in our small group, we've already achieved, about a 50% diversity level
Mhm.
in our management team, just to begin, in terms of, women and minorities that are a part of the leadership team
Mhm.
at Resinate. So we take that very seriously. We hire from areas of disproportionate impact. So many of our, like tomorrow, we have a job fair that's gonna be in Worcester. We publish in magazines that move to, in newspaper trade, newspapers that move within a lot of the disproportionate impact communities, as specified by the state of Massachusetts.
Mhm.
So we had a job fair at our site last week. We have a job fair tomorrow that's at the Union Station
Yep.
that we're participating in. But ultimately, it's central to our strategy. Look, it's a requirement set forth by the CCC. There's no denying that, but as you can tell, we're already
Mhm.
well diversified, beyond that, so.
And it's a personal mission of mine to make sure that we're kind of giving back to the community. It's just something that I care deeply about.
Have you said anything about preference for Grafton residents and/or for past military?
We definitely have a focus on hiring veterans, absolutely. Currently on staff, we don't have any veterans, and so we are looking at veteran newspapers and just circulations that would really kind of reach out to them. And we'd also like to do education, on our medical side, we want to do more education. Like I was telling Peter the other day, like, I love the fact that your senior center's here in the municipal area. And so when I visited the last 3 times to just kind of set up this meeting, I just, it's very social atmosphere. It's definitely a very approachable community here. So I think the more involved that we can be, the better.
I mean, in the stores, we'll be doing food drives, we'll be doing,
Yep.
food pantries, clothing drives. You'll see it here.
We're huge pet
Oh,
lovers, so
really?
we want to help the local shelters and donate blankets and try to do those kinds of activities. We are collaborating with Jeremiah's Inn in Worcester as one of our partner organizations to help give back, and they're wonderful. Just,
Yeah, we had a nice contingent that attended their shop event.
oh, it was so fun.
In the city, but we're very engaged.
So, back to the store.
Sure.
How many square feet are you thinking of occupying?
So that square footage
Roughly.
on the right side is about 3,000 square feet.
And I'm not sure that's both the front and the back part, the ice cream part and the miniature golf course.
Yeah, so, yeah, you know the building well. So right inside that door, you have that first hallway, and then the bigger room behind it that has the vaulted ceiling.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I was on that side. I looked at it before it became what it is. I don't know, because I remember going through and looking at it, not going out the door on the right hand.
Something that was a bar.
Hmm?
Was that a bar a long time ago?
Among others, well, it was an entertainment venue.
Yeah.
Big name acts at one time came there. You know, I guess you came out from Worcester to go to, is that called Cosmo? Is that the name?
I want to say it was something like that. I wasn't there when it was in business.
Yeah,
I
no.
just remember being golf place.
You dating yourself a little bit, it was, you dating yourself a little bit.
No, this I heard when I moved
Ah.
it.
Yeah, right.
When I was
My
a
friend
kid,
told
it
me.
was a rec center for kids for a little while too.
That was after, what was it?
Oh, I was a kid, so
After
that was
Cosmo.
30 years ago.
Yeah, it was Cosmo before you.
Ah, there you go,
40
see, I
or
thought you
50
were
years
dating
ago.
yourself.
Oh, so, okay, all of that. Something else. There's some other word. We'll see all of that.
It's exciting. I mean, we're excited to be here. You know, it was, like I said, I'm from the town over. I mean, and we like the community. I mean, I'm obviously very involved in Millbury, but, we're pretty excited to be able to be here, be in Worcester, and then, push one location out to Western Mass. So for us, right now, this next year, it's just about getting these sites online and being a good neighbor. And the good news is, again, and I share this with many of the municipalities that I talk to, all say the same thing. It's like, dealing with us here in the community, it's not the average. We're not going anywhere. We're not looking to move the business. We're just looking to open and stick around.
Mhm.
Keep thinking of something.
I'm guessing you're gonna see him again.
Yeah, and you have my business card. You're welcome to email,
Oh,
whatever.
you'll be seeing a lot
Yeah.
more of me.
Oh, I know.
That's for sure.
I know. Back when the current use got a permit, I was on the planning board. And I remember that we had issues about traffic flow over on the left side where the sign is and whatnot.
Mhm.
And I think there's some conditions in the special permit
For them.
of that. You'd never find them unless I told you to look. But,
That's good to know.
Well, thank you.
Not that they're being necessarily respected.
No, but it's good to know, yeah.
Because we were concerned, what was it, 15 years ago or something, I don't know what it was, about how the traffic would flow in the lot, since it's so tight in the front.
Did it ever prove to be an issue?
I don't know. But when your people are doing the planning, I ought to be aware that there is
Condition in
something
there.
somewhere, either in the plans we approved or in the conditions and the special permit, or it's a combination. It says like, it can only be out over here and it can only be in over there.
Just to
something
keep
like
the
that.
flow.
Not actually functioning that way.
Yeah. Could I get a copy of your presentation?
Do you mind?
I don't mind.
Yeah. Makes it easier, right, for notes and
Exactly.
stuff? Absolutely.
This is a
Thank
new
you.
reporting, you know, you used to have to use those things for the paper and all.
Yeah,
Hold on, this
Yeah.
is-
I did this, I started doing this 10 years ago, so.
Uh-huh.
So I guess my only question is for what purpose?
My notes,
Okay, good.
do you not want them put online? Because I can, you know, keep them off the website, or would it be handier to put it online?
Man, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me that.
You're being taped and, you know, what you've said and.
Sure.
I don't know whether he's.
No,
gonna
he
take it.
disclosed that. He let us
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no,
And said it's gonna go up on the local TV, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Pete, I can't get your mouse to work.
Oh, no?
Like, I think it's just my hands. Oh,
Yeah. But no, I mean, I guess I don't. I just want to understand where it's going, that's all.
Yeah, well, the website's called graftoncommon.com. Unfortunately, I can't get it going in here because I'm not hooked up to the internet. It's basically, it's a news site, you know, straight reporting. I've been doing this for 30 years of my life.
And I've seen the newspaper.
No, you haven't, because it
Haven't?
isn't a newspaper.
on
It
print.
just,
Website.
it's just started yesterday.
What's the Grafton one that's out?
That's the Grafton News.
Just the Grafton, okay, so that's the one.
It's owned by Gatehouse.
Yeah. It used to be owned locally.
Used to be what?
It used to be owned locally, reported local news.
I
How you
don't know.
doing over there?
I'm doing terrible. I can't.
It's,
Upside down.
There we
there
go.
you go.
I'm learning. And so minimize, close, and then I just put
You'll see the
it-
drive come up, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
think
just.
that's your drive.
Yep.
And then slide it over. And let me just make sure it opens. Perfect.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah. And then eject. Do. And down here. Digital image. There we go.
My readers always found it convenient, for example, when we were doing the building of the high school, I would just put the complete presentations online so people could look at it and go, oh, okay.
Are they eligible to be downloaded? Or is
That
it just
is-
a view only?
That's a good question. I
It's
haven't.
technically company IP, so just, you know, not that it's a big deal.
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's
then
a-
that makes sense. I won't put it up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the one side of the canvas, the industry getting rich out of this is lawyers.
Yeah.
As a computer person, if I can see it on my screen, I can get it,
Yeah.
you know.
It's true.
Not that
Thank
there's
you.
really
You're very
much to it
welcome.
anyway,
Very welcome.
so. No, so it's been great. Any more questions? You know, and you're more than welcome. I've said this to the town too. I mean, we're kind of an open book, so
Mhm.
if you guys want to come down, see the Worcester store, you know, walk it, see the Douglas site, check out what we're doing, because it really does speak volumes about what we're trying to do.
You will be impressed.
We're proud.
Now,
Douglas.
what's the address of the,
Douglas,
no, Worcester?
1191 Millbury Street.
No,
1191 Willow Street.
Millbury Street. I know where Millbury Street is in Grafton, but I don't know where Millbury Street is.
The old
in Worcester.
146.
Hmm?
The old 146.
Oh.
Remember,
okay.
you know, the old 146 where Colonial Farms, the seafood place was, and then there was Cliff Street that would go up to Holy Name, up to Route 20. That was like the big connection point. Anyway, we're right on the old 146,
Hmm.
kind of near the Walmart. And that's a big store, so that's,
Yeah,
that's
well,
where,
yeah, okay, the one, yeah.
yeah, so that's about 6,500 square feet is that store.
Mhm.
It's huge. Yeah, there's also the executive offices that are there.
Come for a tour.
So good. So I think we're all set?
Yep.
All right, thanks,
I appreciate
guys.
you guys coming out.